Today is June 23rd, Sonic's 35th anniversary. To celebrate this momentous occasion, I've decided to go over 5-ish Sonic games I'd like to see SEGA release. Now, my original plan for this video was to pitch the next 5 years of Sonic, but since they're bound to announce something in the live stream later today, I decided to hold off as to not immediately outdate myself. Now, I believe that Sonic Frontiers 2 is going to be the next major Sonic game, whether or not it's actually called Sonic Frontiers 2. Again, to avoid outdating myself, and because I already made a pitch video for Sonic Frontiers 2 last year, I'm not going to talk about that. Anyways, in no particular order, here are the 5 games that SEGA is definitely going to announce today. I'm starting out of the gate kind of cheating. There are plenty of different genres the Sonic series has experimented with plenty more they haven't attempted. Nope, there have been 0 Sonic RPGs. While it'd be fun to see sequels to games like Sonic Rush, and Rivals, and Riders, and Reros, it'd be equally as fun to see SEGA try something new. Again, there have been no Sonic RPGs. Other genres that'd be neat to include a roguelike, or Metroidvania, or tower defense starring a character other than Sonic. A level creator with the option to make classic or boost style levels would also make so much sense given all the Sonic fan games out there. Finally, while I'm not much of an RPG fan, I'd give a Sonic RPG a try. It's crazy how there have been no Sonic RPGs made. To continue the cheating trend, SEGA should just re-release every Sonic game onto modern hardware, whether just a re-release, or a compilation, or a re-release with extra content in the vein of Child Generations. I want all the games available. Non-Apple owners deserve a chance to play Sonic Dream Team 2. With Silver and Blaze 2, please? A Heroes re-release has been rumored for years now. At this point, they might as well port it along with both the GameCube and Dreamcast versions of the Adventure duology. If they don't put the Advance trilogy on Game Boy Advance NSO, they should definitely re-release it as part of a collection. SEGA should also stop being cowards and finally give us Knuckles Chaotix and SEGA Sonic the Hedgehog. Figure it out, guys. Since its inception, the Sonic the Hedgehog series has taken a lot of inspiration from the Dragon Ball series. Because of course they have. It's Dragon Ball. I hope someone over at SEGA is eventually inspired to make a tag team fighting game in the style of Dragon Ball FighterZ. Yeah, everyone says it, because of course they have. It's Dragon Ball FighterZ. The Sonic franchise is kind of infamous for putting characters into teams anyway. So here's my pitch for a Sonic fighting game roster. It pretty much has everyone you'd expect on a Sonic fighting game roster. Trust me, I watched a lot of videos on Sonic fighting game rosters. They all pretty much have the same picks. Main Sonic cast, check. Chaotix is a single character akin to the Ginyu Force and FighterZ, check. Thrash from Archie Sonic? Not check. One of my favorite aspects of fighting game rosters is when they throw in oddball picks. Thrash is a character I've always liked, ever since he was introduced in the Sonic Universe comic. He's got a cool glitch-inspired design, cool power set, and personal beef with Knuckles, which all make him perfect to be paired with Surge and Kit. Will this ever happen? Probably not. After its release in 2017, everyone just assumed Sonic Mania would get a sequel after a few years. Then it just never happened. Sure, we eventually got Sonic Superstars, which is a fun game in itself. However, it never really scratched the itch left by Sonic Mania for me. That's why I hope we eventually get a Sonic Mania 2. I know, very original. Well, everyone says it because it'd be a great idea. Nowadays, there's a lot of contention over SEGA's over-reliance on nostalgia. In my opinion, classic Sonic doesn't necessarily need to be a representation of nostalgia. It can just be one design for Sonic in the sea of other designs like the 3D games or movies. That being said, it would still be neat to get a few remixed stages in the game. However, I'd want most of the stages to be new. Additionally, it'd be cool to give the characters expansions to their movesets. I'd be fine with just more Sonic Mania gameplay. But I'd also like to see what new ways the developers can think of for these characters to control. These could just be part of the character's normal movesets, or be given to them when they're paired up, like in Advance 3. While I don't want the game to go super story heavy, as I personally like the silent show not tell storytelling of the Genesis games in Mania, I would like to see a little more uniqueness to each story, like how Knuckles' campaign is slightly different than Sonic and Tails' is. As you can see, I've paired up characters based on who would share a storyline. Given that Mania and Superstars used previously scrapped concepts, it would be very fitting for them to use the infamously scrapped character of Tiara. I'm not saying her full name. To go back to what I was saying about classic Sonic just being one design for Sonic, I think it's finally time for SEGA to let us change Sonic's shade of blue and maybe some other factors like the way his spikes look with alternate costumes. Before I go on to my last pick for a Sonic game I like to see, I think it would make sense to discuss Crossroads DLC. I'm very happy that Sonic Racing Crossroads will continue to get content with the Season 2 pass. While I hope that more modes like a campaign or missions will eventually be added, to continue this video's trend of going over rosters, I'll mostly just be discussing characters I want to join the game. As a Sonic fan, I of course want more Sonic characters. However, I did try to be a little realistic and just limit myself to 5 characters over 5 different categories, as you can see here. Now, a major aspect of Sonic Racing Crossroads is, of course, the crossroads. I hope they continue to release free SEGA characters with Season 2, like Rystar and Echo the Dolphin. If I were put in charge of the remaining packs for the next season, I'd of course choose Dragon Ball, with Goku, Piccolo, and Vegeta. Now everyone is predicting DC because of the crossover comics, but I like Marvel more, so Spider-Man, Captain America, and The Thing would be my choice. Since Crash Team Racing was a big deal a few years ago, I like to add Crash, Coco, and Cortex. Finally, Jurassic Park is my favorite moving book, so I'm adding some guys from there. I know there's already a cross-world with dinosaurs, but come on, you can't have too many dinosaur stages. I know in my Sonic Frontiers 2 video, I said Sonic Adventure 3 was never happening. But hey, a man can dream, right? Sonic Adventure 3 is of course the infamous rumored follow-up to Sonic Adventure 2, which released, oh my god, 25 years ago? Sonic Adventure 3 would be truly a monumental moment in gaming history. However, if it would ever be made, it can't just be a pretty good game, like most Sonic games are. This game has to be great. This game has to be huge and polished. Now, the last Sonic game to have the adventure formula was Sonic 06, which had 9 playable characters. You know what? I'm saying Sonic Adventure 3 will have 15 playable characters, 5 gameplay styles with 3 characters representing each style. There will be 5 different campaigns with 3 characters in each campaign, and of course a final campaign after you beat all 5. I imagine a lot of the stages will be shared in a campaign, like how Sonic and Knuckles both had Speed Highway in Adventure 1, with different gameplay styles. There will be also stages shared amongst characters who have the same gameplay style, like Sonic and Shadow might share a stage or 2. I don't have much to say on what the story of this game would be. I'd like there to be a new team of characters. Major Sonic games like this usually add new characters to the cast, so it'd be kind of cool to have at least one of these characters be a mainstay. In regards to other story elements, I'd like Eggman to be the major antagonist for most of the game, before eventually being usurped by the final boss villain. Also, roboticization would be a factor in this game, with Eggman's newest robot actually being a roboticized pig. Yeah, that's right. That's it, that's the video. Give your ideas for your dream Sonic games in the comments. Bye!